Alright, this is the Book of Common Prayer I was telling you about. For you need to go immediately to launch your internet browser. It may be Explorer, it may be through Bing, or whatever it is. You need to find your internet launch, and once you launch it, you're going to go up here to the top. And up top, you want to make sure that you have typed in the following code. All internet code begins with HTTP, and it's a colon with 2 backslashes. But if you simply start up here and put your cursor up here and click, all you have to do is type bcponline.org, and it'll automatically get you there. Once you get to that point, then you of course want to come over here and hit the search icon, and it will open this window. This is a really convenient way in which to follow the morning prayer service that we're going to be describing to you. And if you don't have a Book of Common Prayer, in today's times a lot of people don't carry books around, they carry their portable devices. And so you can also do this from your smartphone, and you can do it from your home computer. And once you have this page opened, now I'm going to help you find exactly what you're looking for. Now, if you have a Book of Common Prayer, it is organized in the same manner. The people that edited this did a really good job of keeping it in the same format and flow as you would find in the text of your Book of Common Prayer. This is the online version. Now, over on the left-hand side, you'll see you have a whole table of contents. The area that you want to specifically look at is going to be under something called the daily office. Now, in the Episcopal Church, the daily offices consist of morning prayer and evening prayer. And in the Episcopal Church, 1979, when the revised and approved prayer book that we have in front of us took place, they realized that they needed to keep the consistency of the old King James language. So that type of language is referred to as Rite 1. And the more contemporary language, which switched gears to the ASV, RSV translations of the Bible, and they also began to go away from first personal pronoun or even second personal pronoun to third personal pronouns. So that contemporary language was to be more of an inclusive language of the whole rather than the individual. And so they call that Rite 2. So a good way also to think about it is Rite 1 is more individually set. Rite 2 is more corporately set on a larger community. So without further ado, after you've seen this, and by the way, you can at any time go to the table of contents and read what that's about, and it will show you again a listing. You can also start to come down here and see the collects, which are known as prayers, and there's traditional collects and there's contemporary collects. Again, following suit with Rite 1 and Rite 2, meaning the older language and the newer language, the individual language versus the corporate or community language. Let's go over to Daily Office. In the Daily Office, it's going to tell you a little bit about concern the service. You have principal players in this. As we do this online and you see me in a live video feed, I'll be the officiant. And I think I'm pronouncing that correct. I think it actually comes from the French language, but the officiant is the one that is to keep the service moving. And they also make the selections, because you'll find in the daily offices it has a combination of different types of collects, prayers, or different types of canticles, songs, and things that you can bring together. So the officiant is responsible for leading this service. And then the people are basically the people that are joining them. And it also gives you a little bit more indication, other than who the players are, as to what you need to have in preparation for the service. So before I begin every morning prayer, I will actually go and locate in the lectionary exactly what readings will be selected for that office. And I will show you before we end this tutorial exactly how to find that lectionary. It says here it's appropriate that other persons be assigned to read lessons. For the time being, when I stream a live broadcast, it'll just be a unidirectional flow of information. So I will basically be leading you, and I assume that wherever you are, I won't be able to hear you at the very beginning of these broadcasts. But I assume that you will be following along, and there'll be parts for you to do that. At celebrations of the Holy Eucharist, the order for morning or evening prayer may be used. So some churches that don't have clergy may opt to use the morning or even the evening prayer. So that kind of takes place of the Holy Eucharist when the clergy is not available. Alright, so I'm going to go back to the daily office, and now I'm going to start to select down. Let's say that you're a person that prefers Rite 1, and I offer Rite 1 morning prayer certain days out of the week. Then what you want to do is you want to find that office, and it would be right here. You'll also see that there's Rite 1 for the evening. You'll see there's morning prayer for Rite 2, and there's evening prayer for Rite 2. Notice in between you actually have an order of service for noonday and an order of worship for the evening. These are shorter services that you can actually do with your family, and I highly encourage you to do that. And then you have an order for Compline, which is actually a service that you would do right before you go to bed. So evening prayer may be right before dinner. Could be right after dinner. But usually once you go after dinner, it starts to get closer to Compline. Daily devotions for individuals and families. Obviously, there's things that you can do. And then it gives you some additional directions and a table of suggested canticles. Canticles are normally sung or chanted types of songs that are scripted for Holy Scripture. So you find the canticle that comes from Isaiah, you see the canticle of Moses, you see all kinds of things like the Deum, the Magnificat. All those are examples of canticles. Alright, so let's go back. You're a Rite 1 type of person, and it's in the morning. Let's say it's 6 or 7 a.m. whenever we prescribe that we're going to do a live broadcast. So you click on that, and then it's going to be able to tell you a little bit about this. Now, the one thing that I've noticed with people is they start to say, what is all this information that comes at the very beginning? Because you'll see that it's categorized by the seasons of the year. Episcopalians are very good at living out the Christ event throughout the year. So what you're going to see is basically a listing that is seasonally oriented to the liturgical calendar. So Advent begins the year. You'll see Advent. The next one is going to be Christmas. So naturally Christmas follows Advent. And then after Christmas you have Epiphany. After Epiphany you have Lent. And you just keep going until you get to Holy Week, and then you have that, and then you have the Easter season. So all these rubrics are just kind of walking you through the sequence of the year, and that's really important because it breaks up the monotony. Sometimes you just get doing the same thing, and you get caught up into just a monotonic type of ritual. But with using the seasons, you're actually moving with Christ through the year, and it's a really helpful exercise to do. And then Trinity Sunday would be the last type of Sunday that has this type of scripture verse precluding it before you get into the Pentecost season, which is usually the summer. It resumes again in November with All Saints on November 1st. And then at any time, you got these that you can use. These are all simply, if you go back to the beginning, just ways in which that you can begin. Or it says with the versicle, O Lord, open thou our lips, found on page 42. It's very common that that is exactly where you start morning prayer. You just start with, O Lord, open thou our lips. And we can find these later on. And page 42, you'll see the page numbers are actually up here in the top right corner. So you got to go through all the liturgical seasons. And by the way, the old Anglican axiom goes, all may, none must, some should. You don't have to use any of these. I recommend it. I think it's good. But you can go directly to page 42. And with 42, there it is. O Lord, open thou our lips. The trying to pronounce that. The invitatory and the Psalter begins with a community that stands. A lot of times, especially when I do this as a live broadcast, you're just going to see me seated. I'm not going to do the standing and sitting. So again, all may. I'm opting not to do the standing. But if I was in a chapel and I was with a larger congregation maybe, and it was a place of greater reverence, I'm sure I would begin with standing. And then we would go into, O Lord, open thou our lips. And then the people's response. So this is where you're going to begin. You're going to say, and our mouth shall show forth thy praise. And then I'm going to lead you with this Trinitarian statement that we ascribe to believing